How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
Raise the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started today at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
The new McCrispy Strip is here. Dip approved by ketchup, tangy barbecue, honey mustard, Sprite, McFlurry, Big Mac sauce, double dipped in buffalo and ranch, more ranch, and creamy chili McCrispy Strip Dip. Now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Welcome back to Rams Up, your favorite LA Rams podcast. We are part of the Fans First Sports Network. And you can follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/@RamsUpPodcast. I'm your host, Mark. I'll be joined often by my football guru, Ian, along with a bunch of other friends of the show on occasion. Let's get to it. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Mark from Rams Up here. Over the last few days, I've been checking in on all the Rams' 2025 opponents, doing a deep dive, parsing the schedule, and I'm going to press on with that this episode, but I'm just going to look at one team. We get into the NFC West, 2 games against each of these teams, opponents that we're very familiar with, so I thought I'd spend a little bit more time, slow it down a little bit, and take a look at, well, this episode, the Arizona Cardinals. And then I'll come back in a few episodes and get into the NFC West position groups. That's another theme I was trying to carry through. We'll go back and forth. We'll eventually get to the 49ers and the Seahawks, of course. Hey, before I get started, I think it was 1 or 2 episodes ago, after the 49ers had cut the USC edge rusher Drake Jackson, I looked back at that horrible 2022 draft of the 49ers, and lo and behold, Pete Prisco of CBS Sports, he looked back at the 2022 draft as well, and he did not have nice things to say about the 49ers or the Cardinals, which is kind of where I was coming from as well. He graded that 49ers draft as a D-. The Cardinals, I think he gave them a D, gave the Seahawks an A, and the Rams a B-. I think he's a little unfair to the Rams because while he acknowledged the Rams didn't have a first or second round pick, and they kind of blew their third round pick, Logan Bruss, they still did pretty darn good. I'm not going to rehash it. Go back and check out that episode. But you have to consider that first and second round pick, those 2 picks they gave up, helped to bring on Matthew Stafford and Von Miller, 2 players that were, I'd say, pretty key to a Super Bowl championship. So I don't know if that was considered in that B- grade. If you just look at the players they drafted, B-. If you look at what they got in return for that first and second round pick, maybe an A-, B+ at worst. Yeah, I think I'd go with an A. So on to the meat of this episode. Before we do that, it's episode 742 on the podcast, and I'm going to talk about one of my favorite players ever to wear a Rams uniform. Again, this is a guy that goes back a little ways. A lot of you probably are not familiar with him, but he was a pretty well-known guy back in the 70s. Dave Elmendorf, the safety, played alongside Nolan Cromwell there for a bit. played his entire 9-year career with the Rams. That's 71 through 79. Started every single game that he played in a Rams uniform. Ended his career with 27 interceptions, 11 fumble recoveries, and 1975 All-NFC team, second team All-Pro. And he was just, not real flashy, nothing really remarkable about him. But I'm not going to say he was a household name. He kind of has an interesting, unique name. And everybody in LA that followed football even a little bit knew who Dave Elmendorf was. He was a very, very good player, just a solid presence in that Rams secondary for many years. Number 42 for our Los Angeles Rams, Dave Elmendorf. So let's move on to the Arizona Cardinals. What do we have to say about them? Coached by Jonathan Gannon, his second year there. 8-9 last year, ended up in third place in the NFC West. And remember, they started out pretty well. Key players, Trey McBride, if you listen to this podcast or watch this YouTube channel, I'm a big fan of his. He was he's probably a top 4 or 5 tight end in the league, and didn't get a touchdown until that Rams game, week 17, was it? But he's a great player. And safety Budda Baker, we all know about him, All-Pro, 164 tackles from the safety position. Are you kidding me? And then quarterback Kyler Murray, I think in some ways he's been a little disappointing, but still a very good player. And Marvin Harrison, I mention him because we could see great things from him this year. His production was maybe disappointing, but only because of his draft position. He still has the potential to be a very, very good NFL wide receiver, and apparently he's bulked up. We'll see how that works out. And James Conner, the running back, kind of overlooked a lot. 1,094 yards last year, and cornerback Sean Murphy-Bunting, a very good player as well. And of course, there's some other guys. We'll sprinkle in some names here. And one of them I should mention right away when we get to talk about their free agents. They re-signed Calais Campbell, and he's been a thorn in the Rams' side for years as well. Him and Budda Baker, very good defensive linemen.
Out here, there's no one way of doing things. No unwritten rules, and no shortage of adventure. Because out here, the only requirement is having fun. Bank of America invites kids 6 to 18 to golf with us. For a limited time, sign them up for a free 1-year membership, giving them access to discounted tee times at thousands of courses. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/golf with us. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America. Restrictions apply. See BofA.com/golf with us for complete details. Copyright 2025 Bank of America Corporation.
You're the perfect blend of elegance and style, and your ride should be no different. The 2024 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid meets all your needs, from business to brunch and everywhere in between. With head-turning details like a sleek front end, plus stylish interior, and an available 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster and seamless tech integration. Okay, Hyundai. Visit HyundaiUSA.com to learn more about the new 2024 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid.
Vitamin Water Zero Sugar has great taste, zero BS, and obviously zero sugar. For those with zero room in their calendar. Zero patience for slow walkers. Those who get 0 hours of sleep on a Saturday night. Have zero filter, zero given, and zero interest in grabbing a plain, boring water. Grab a delicious Vitamin Water Zero Sugar today.
Are your business expenses playing hide and seek? With Uber for Business, the small spends that slip through the cracks, like rides and meals, go right where you need them. Because it integrates with leading expense platforms, you can say goodbye to surprise costs, missing dollars, or chasing receipts. Everything's track downable. Uber for Business. Make small steps that make a big impact. Learn more at uber.com/small steps.
They brought over edge rusher Josh Sweat. Jonathan Gannon, their head coach, is a defensive-minded coach, and he's trying to pump up this defense. And he also added interior defensive lineman Dalvin Tomlinson and backup quarterback Jacoby Brissett. So they didn't do a lot to improve the offense, But Josh Sweat and bringing back Calais Campbell, it should be a pretty big deal there in Arizona for that defense. Now, their draft picks, the one I really liked at the top here is defensive lineman, defensive tackle Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss. We talked about him in the run-up to the draft. Ian and I didn't do a deep dive into the defensive line because we didn't see that as a big need after adding Poona Ford, although I like what they did, adding the kid from Ohio State. But if you look at Walter Nolan and you read about him, watch some film on him, he kind of reminds me of a Kobe Turner type player. I'm not saying he's as good. Well, he's a first-round draft pick, so you'd hope he plays at that level. And then cornerback Will Johnson in the second round. He's out of Michigan, and he's a guy that slid in the draft. Could have gone, a lot of folks thought he was going to go in the first round. I did, but he slipped a little bit coming back from an injury. And so the Cardinals did the same thing they did, I think it was 2 years ago, when they drafted the cornerback out of Syracuse. Is it Garrett Williams? He had an ACL injury. The Cardinals drafted him, shelved him for a year, had a red shirt season, and now he's a starter, very good player. And another cornerback they drafted, Denzel Burke out of Ohio State, is the guy we talked about. And if you look at this draft, I mentioned free agency building up this defense, and you look at these draft picks, defensive tackle, cornerback, edge, linebacker, cornerback, then a guard out of Texas, and then a safety. So they drafted 3 players for the secondary, a defensive tackle, an edge rusher, and a linebacker. So yeah, defense was on the Cardinals' mind, that's for sure. So what did they do last year? They started out 6-4, but finished 2-5. They ended up at 8-9, third place in the West. And, there was a moment there where it looked like they were going to win the NFC West. And as often happens to the Cardinals here, still trying to build a culture there, they kind of collapsed. Had a 3-game losing streak there. And offensively and defensively, fair to middling in just about every category. The one thing they did do, rushing the ball, 144 yards per game, 7th best. And that has a little bit to do with their quarterback, Kyler Murray, and of course, James Conner. So they, didn't do anything really well aside from rushing the ball. And then we need to look at what happened against the Rams last year, because that's what this is really all about. How do the Rams stack up against the Cardinals this year? Well, let's take a look at last year, and we got to start thinking of the Cardinals differently. I think the gut reaction, the initial reaction is we have their number, we'll stomp on the Cardinals. But you look at what happened last year in week 2, one of the more deflating performances in recent years for the Rams. Cardinals 41, the Rams 10. The Cardinals outgained the Rams 489 to 245 yards. And it was just a shellacking, a really poor performance by the Rams offensively and defensively. Marvin Harrison, one of many wide receivers to go off on us last year, had I think it was 130 yards and 2 TDs. Did not go well. And this was before we added Ahkello Witherspoon. That was Tre'Davious White back there trying to get it done. And it did not go well. Then we move on to week 17, a lot on the line. Rams trying to avoid a play-in game in week 18, and they escape with a 13-9 win. In that game, the Cardinals also outgained the Rams 396 yards to 257. So, you're thinking, why are the Cardinals replenishing their defense? They had no problem giving the Rams offense fits. They outgained them in the two games. The Cardinals outgained the Rams 885 yards to 502 yards. And we were very fortunate to win that second game. Cardinals had issues in the red zone, and then that ill-timed pass by Kyler Murray threw it a little bit early to Trey McBride, bounces off McBride's helmet, and Ahkello Witherspoon snags it for the interception. So, and that was one of the big, Rams had a lot of really great plays last year that combined really saved our butts. The pick 6 by Cam Kinchens in Seattle for 100 and something yards, whatever it was. And then this interception by Akilo, Darius Williams interception against the 49ers. So, but we have to consider this Cardinals team. Back to this Cardinals team. They are going to be a tough out. They're getting better every year, I think, underneath Gannon. They just haven't figured out how to close the deal at the end of the season to, go toe-to-toe with the best teams in the NFL on a weekly basis. They seem to have lapses. They seem to have games, and maybe it's because of their quarterback. If you listen to this podcast or watch this YouTube channel, you know how I feel about Kyler Murray. I just don't think he has dedicated himself to becoming great. And I'm not the first one to say that. I'm basically really just echoing what some insiders have said. He's a very good quarterback, immense talent. When he's got it going on, one of the more difficult players to defend. But has he really progressed? Has he improved? And I think the answer to that is no. He could still, when he's on his game, this team can beat anybody. But I just don't think they have figured out how to do it on a weekly basis. Kyler Murray, another quarterback, and I talked about this in our quarterback review of the NFC West quarterbacks. Too good to move on from, but is he good enough to make a playoff push and win a Super Bowl? I am not convinced. So how do the Rams do against this Cardinals team? Well, I'm going to cop out here again on the YouTube channel. I've been tracking the worst case and best case results. We went through the AFC South and then the Ravens as well, and the NFC South. That was 9 opponents. And then for the 2 Cardinal games, I think we're going to go 1-1. I think we're going to split with them. And I'm going same thing I did with the Eagles and Lions, the 2 games with the Eagles and Lions. I said we split them 1-1. I think the same thing happens with the Cardinals. I'm not going to give you a worst or best case scenario. I'm telling you 1-1, which now updates our worst case scenario for the Rams, their 2025 record. Worst case, 7 wins and 6 losses. The best case, 10 wins and 3 losses. And we still have 4 more games to talk about. 2 with the Seattle Seahawks and 2 with the 49ers. So we'll get to that in the next few days. I think Ian's going to join me in a day or two. So we may get into a bunch of other stuff for that episode. But in the next week or so, for sure, we'll get into the 49ers. We'll get into the Seahawks. And we'll grab another position group and walk through an NFC West position group, looking at each team's position group. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Maybe we've done quarterbacks, running backs, and tight ends. Yeah, maybe we'll do edge rushers. I think the Rams will have a solid advantage there. I have a feeling. That's it for now. Out here from Rams Up. We'll be back in a night or 2 with more good stuff.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
That's going to do it for this episode. Remember, you can reach us at ramsuppodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget about our YouTube channel. Till next time, keep the horns up, stay safe, and have fun out there.